How can a simple piece of Bitcoin technology make your wealth impossible for billionaires, banks, and governments to touch? The answer lies in a revolutionary system that's changing how we think about financial security. On today's episode of the TFTC podcast, I sat down with Tuur Demeester, a veteran Bitcoin researcher and investor who's been studying monetary history and financial markets since 2008. We'll explore how multi-signature technology creates a digital equivalent of Switzerland, why traditional financial institutions are terrified of this innovation, and how this system could have prevented every major crypto collapse we've seen. Before we continue, if you enjoy these breakdowns, hit the like and subscribe button for more TFTC content. Full episode linked below. Let's start with my conversation with Tuur about the recent catastrophic failures in the crypto industry and how they've highlighted the critical importance of proper Bitcoin custody.
Thinking about the last cycle, epic blowups, Terra Luna, Celsius, BlockFi, FTX, Three Arrows. And I think what each of those individual blowups, Grayscale or Genesis and Gemini, like what they got embroiled in with the earned product and Genesis getting blown out. I think it really drove home this idea of counterparty risk. And this is something I think many people in the Bitcoin space believe, and you mentioned Unchained earlier, which I think they're spearheading, is this idea of leveraging Bitcoin's native properties, particularly Multi-Sig, to create unique custody setups that can really be the foundational sort of mechanism that this new monetary and financial system is built on.
The last few years in the cryptocurrency industry have proven something crucial. Controlling your own money isn't just important, it's essential for survival. What we witnessed was a series of catastrophic failures where billions of dollars vanished because people trusted the wrong institutions. But here's what's fascinating. We already have the technology to prevent this from ever happening again. At 1031, we recognized early that Bitcoin's multi-signature technology could revolutionize how we secure wealth. Think of multi-signature like this. Instead of giving one person complete control over your money, you create a system where multiple trusted parties must agree before any funds can move. This isn't just a minor improvement in security, it's a fundamental shift in how we protect wealth. What's particularly interesting is how this technology emerged from Bitcoin's earliest days. The creators of Bitcoin understood that digital money would need new security models that went beyond traditional banking. They built multi-signature capability directly into Bitcoin's code, anticipating the need for institutional-grade security that didn't rely on institutional trust. The question isn't whether this technology works, we know it does. The real question is how this technology creates an entirely new paradigm for storing wealth beyond the reach of any single institution. But to understand the true power of this innovation, we need to look at how it works on a global scale. Let's hear Tuur explain how this technology could reshape the entire financial landscape.
And so with Multisig, when the signatories are different companies, are situated in different countries, maybe even different continents, that becomes impossible. Like every company's treasury and every country's treasury could be stored in a virtual Switzerland, right, in a neutral place that cannot be touched by the interests of one particular nation. So, and then of course, as the geopolitical situation changes, those keys can also be changed, right? If all of a sudden we have a bipolar world, well, then you can shuffle your keys so that neither pole has the majority of the keys or controls the majority of the keys. So to me, it's just a recipe for peace.
What you just heard is the blueprint for a financial revolution. Traditional banks and governments maintain power through their ability to control and freeze assets. But multi-signature technology in Bitcoin creates something unprecedented, a truly neutral storage system that no single entity can control. When keys are distributed across different countries and institutions, it becomes practically impossible for any government or powerful entity to seize these funds. This is why Tuur calls it a virtual Switzerland. It provides the same neutral security that Switzerland historically offered, but in digital form. The genius of this system is its adaptability. As the world changes and power dynamics shift, the key holders can be reorganized to maintain true neutrality. What makes this particularly powerful is how it changes the dynamics of international conflict. Throughout history, financial warfare, freezing assets, seizing gold reserves, blocking access to banking systems has been a primary tool of state power. Multi-signature technology fundamentally breaks this model. It creates a financial system that operates above national interests, making it resistant to the kind of financial warfare we've seen throughout history. This isn't just theory. It's already working in practice, protecting billions in Bitcoin from the kind of institutional failures we've seen recently. But to understand how this system is changing behavior on a personal level, let's look at how people are beginning to think differently about securing their wealth.
But if you have a subset of the population who's like, look, our family only puts their Bitcoin in places that have proof of reserves, that use multi-sig, whose Bitcoin is not stored, where the keys are not guarded by the same institution, where there's at least 3 institutions involved or something like that. You could basically have literally an ethos around that.
Now we're seeing a fundamental shift in how people think about securing their wealth. The traditional banking model of blindly trusting a single institution is being replaced by a culture of verification and distributed security. When Tuur talks about families only putting their Bitcoin in places with proof of reserves and multi-signature setups, he's describing a new standard of financial security. This system makes it mathematically impossible for any single party, whether it's a bank, government, or billionaire, to access funds without agreement from other key holders. It's also transparent. Unlike traditional banks, you can verify that your Bitcoin is exactly where it should be at any time. What's particularly fascinating is how this technology is creating a new financial culture. People are beginning to understand that true security comes from distribution of power, not concentration of it. This represents a complete reversal of traditional financial thinking, where we've been taught to trust large, centralized institutions with our wealth. The combination of security and transparency is what makes multi-signature technology so revolutionary. It gives people the power to protect their wealth without having to trust any single institution. This shift in thinking isn't just changing individual behavior. It has the potential to reshape entire economies. To understand the full implications, let's look at how this technology could prevent the kind of economic disasters we've seen in many countries.
Of course, some of the way that things kept spiraling, like in Latin America, you would have a hyperinflation, and then like 5, 6, 7 years later, another bout, and it would just be this kind of endless cycle of kind of stumbling from one hyperinflation into the next. That could be kind of prevented, right? Because then you get that bad cycle, massive inflation, and then there's a new presidential candidate and he runs on a Bitcoin ticket and he's like, I'm going to put you guys on a Bitcoin standard. So all of a sudden there's hope.
The implications of this technology extend far beyond individual security. Look at what's happened in countries that have experienced hyperinflation. Entire populations have watched their savings evaporate because they were forced to trust a single institution, their government, with monetary control. But multi-signature Bitcoin custody changes this dynamic completely. It creates a system where wealth can be stored safely beyond the reach of any single point of failure. When Tuur talks about countries potentially adopting a Bitcoin standard, he's describing a world where governments can't unilaterally destroy their citizens' wealth through poor monetary policy. What's particularly significant about this is how it changes the relationship between citizens and their governments. Throughout history, governments have maintained power partly through their control of the monetary system. Multi-signature Bitcoin custody introduces a new dynamic, one where citizens have access to a truly neutral, global financial system that can't be manipulated by any single entity. This isn't just a technical innovation. It's a fundamental shift in the balance of power between individuals and institutions. The technology isn't just making traditional banks obsolete, it's creating a new financial system that's more secure, more transparent, and most importantly, resistant to the kind of catastrophic failures we've seen throughout history. For the first time, we have a way to store and transfer wealth that doesn't require us to trust anyone, just math and code. Do you think multi-signature technology will become the new standard for Bitcoin storage? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and if you found Bitcoin security innovations interesting, you'll want to watch our breakdown of how Bitcoin will absorb $83 trillion by 2033. Click the video on your screen now. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching. Stay humble. Stack sats.